Okay, and first, before I start, I just want to say congratulations to you for paying off that credit card, right? I
Thank
mean,
you.
that's awesome. And not only did you pay it off, you had money left over because you returned some items.
Yes, you have a very good memory, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's quite a big deal for me. So
Phenomenal. And
thank
I'm
you.
just, it's all of those little things that stack. It's going to get you to where you want to go. So how does it feel? How did it feel when you realized you paid it off? And not only did you pay it off, you had a little extra coming back to you.
Great, because I've always had, credit card bills. A weight has been lifted. I will say that just, I think 2 days ago, I had some dues for my job come due. So I had to quickly use the card. I did it. I went over to my checkbook. I wrote a check to it, and it's done. And that's it. So that's the one time in whenever we first spoke. So thank you. And I do feel a weight is lifted. And so I'm not going to be using it unless I absolutely had to, which I did for this instance. And it was for my job, and it's done. So thank you so much.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you. It makes me feel good to know that there's something I said that you took into action and you had a result. And again, it's not about all or nothing or being rigid. You found that you had something that was due, and you're like, well, sometimes we're stuck paying with the credit card, but what you did is you went immediately to your checkbook and you wrote out the check. So it was just pay, and that's the way to do it. You're
Thank
so
you.
awesome. So
Thank you.
awesome.
I'm grateful for your information, and I'm grateful I look forward to 2023 with hope of building those next steps as you referred to. So thank you very much for what you're doing.
My gosh, thank you. Thank you for being an awesome example. All right, so I made a few notes about today, and every time I come on these calls, I want to give you something that you can act on immediately if you want. Not something big, something small. So a lot of people set goals, New Year's resolutions. I talked about that. I don't do a New Year's resolution because I don't wait. If I need a change, I'm going to make a change December 29th or, July 2nd or whenever. Don't wait for those big things. Over 90% of people that make the resolutions fail. So why am I just going to follow 90% of people when they're failing? So we got to change our mind. So I think mind shifts are a really, really, really great thing to do. We have to change our minds, not focus on what everybody else is doing, because there's this statistic of by the age of 65, 90% of the people are dead broke by the age of 65, or they're relying on family, friends, or the government to survive. And we don't want that. So we're not going to follow what all the marketing is telling us. We're not going to follow what everybody's doing. We're going to change our mind. So first thing, I'm going to give you 3 things. Know what you want. Know what you want. Number 1, know what you want. And you can call it a goal. It doesn't even need to be big. Pick something you can do. Know what you want and write it down. So take it from your head, put it on a piece of paper. Know what you want and write that thing down. Number 2, know how you'll know when you reach it. So we can talk about those things. Let's say you want to lose weight. I've wanted to lose weight. Many people, women I know, have wanted to lose weight. And they'll put down, I want to lose weight. Well, how will you know when you reach that? Are you talking 1 pound? Are you talking 10 pounds? Are you talking 100 pounds? And the key thing in there is how will you know when you reach it? You need to have something specific. If I say, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, how will I know when I reach it? Well, I'll know where I'm starting. Okay, let's say last year I was 185 pounds. Last year I got down to 154 pounds in 2022. So
Wow.
154. So that's 30 pounds. So I had a goal. It was huge. And you know, losing 30 pounds in a whole year is not unreasonable. You know, I wasn't saying I want to lose 100 pounds. You know, that would be too much. I wasn't saying I wanted to lose 2 pounds, because that's not really, is that what I really want? 2 pounds? You know, a goal. And again, it's still goal setting, but I don't even want to use the word, because we're so trapped in what we think of with goals. We don't even understand what goals are. So I don't even want to use the word, but I knew what I wanted. I wanted to lose 30 pounds. How will I know when I reach it? Well, that's easy. I stepped on the scale and I said, wow, here's where I'm at. It was 184. I'm at 184. I'd like to be in the mid 50s. I'm going to write a number, 154. How will I know when I reach it? The scale is not going to say 184. The scale is going to say 154. That's how I know. You know, and it's the same thing with every goal. You know, people say, my husband's like, I just want more money. And I'm like, oh, I just found a dime on the sidewalk. Here you go. You got it. Check that off. No, that's not what I mean. Well, what do you mean? You got to know what you mean. You got to know what you mean. And that's why you need to write it down. That way anybody will be able to see that you have met your goal. Yeah, it says right here on the scale, you know, 154, you know. So a timeline also, when you reach it. Part of it is that's where you get the dynamic. I could say I want to weigh 154 before I die, but I mean, losing 30 pounds in potentially another 30 years, is that what I really want? No, I want to lose this weight by this time. That's what I want. That's what I'm going to focus on. So again, knowing what you want and knowing what is it going to look like when you reach it. So I'm just going to pause and think about that. Think about what you want. And I know there are many things that we want in many areas, in relationship, in finance, in our physical bodies, in our mental bodies, in activities, in what we want for leisure, in how we want to give back, because I believe giving is important. How do we want to take care of our family? How do we want to take care of ourselves? There are many, 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 many things, but you have to start somewhere. Start somewhere. If you're like, I want 500 things, and you start going after them, you're not going to get any of those things. So think about what you want. And as you look with those things that you want, in what areas, it's up to each individual person to figure out what's the most important thing. They're all important, but what are you going to do first? And maybe there's something that once you start working for that one item, it's going to help knock off the other items. So for me, my physical health was a big thing. If I am, my past year, as I had the goal of getting healthier, I found out that the things I did that were bringing me towards my health, towards losing weight, I was sleeping better. So when I would wake up, I'd have more energy. Because I had more energy, I was able to do more things for my financial goals, for my family goals, for my charity goals. So there's going to be a goal or two that once you start nailing those, they will start triggering success in other areas. So number one, know what you want. Number two, know how you'll know when you reach it and when has that time factor. You're going to be going towards a date. And number three, and this was the key for me in 2022, know what habit will help to get you there. Know what habit will help to get you there. So we can, again, I'm going back to the health because we all can relate to it. Hey, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to go on a diet. That's not, what does that even mean? A diet is not a habit. A diet is restriction and punishment. And everything that I talk about is really changing our mindset. I had to change it to a habit and a doable habit. I wasn't going to go to the gym 3 times a day and, have just, a plain chicken breast and plain vegetables for a whole year. That would be ridiculous. But I did figure out some habits that helped to get me there. I'm going to drink a half gallon of water a day and have a salad a day. I started there. I made that a habit, and that habit has stuck with me. That's now a lifetime habit. I'm going to have a salad every day. Doesn't have to be a big one, doesn't have to be a small one. That's what I chose. And drinking a half a gallon of water minimum, it's a habit now. And that has helped keep me from veering from my goal. Now, when I talk about habits, and this, again, this was so key for me this year, I tricked my mind into saying that I will love this habit even if I don't reach my goal. I'm embracing this habit and not the result. I'm embracing this journey and not the result. The result will take care of itself. But at the beginning of last year, I was like 30 pounds seemed like a lifetime away. After a week, it seemed like a lifetime away. After a month, I was like, it's a mountain that I can't cross. And I failed the year before and the year before and the year before. I was failing for like 5 to 7 years. I failed for 5 to 7 years. And instead of losing weight, I was gaining it. And it was frustrating. So I had to give that all up in my mind and say, I'm going to just enjoy my new habit. And maybe the result will come, maybe it won't. I know it's going to come, but I embraced the habit. And I did exercise, of course. I got my body moving. I did a walk a day because I figured that was doable. I'm just going to get outside. I'm going to walk. So again, I embraced it. And when I hated to do that walk, I was like, well, I do want a result. But even if I don't get the result, I'm going to love what I'm doing because I'm loving myself. I'm doing something myself. I'm embracing a habit. And once the habit came into place without the pressure, without the angst, without the, I need this goal. I want this goal. Oh, it's so hard. You're cutting yourself at the feet if you are struggling and if you're in pain and if you're like, it doesn't create an environment in your mind for success. Right. But if you're creating a habit and you're embracing the habit, the end of each day, you're like, I had success. I had a salad. I had my water. I did a little walk. It's doable. I can do this tomorrow. And then you're building your joy over it. And that's just what I want to encourage to you. What habit is going to help get you there? What habit can you celebrate every day? So that's what I want you to think about and see how that's going to work in your life. And it's really, I talked about weight, But the same thing goes for money and our finances. Now, had a very interesting question. It was a great question today. Somebody asked me, what percentage should they set aside for savings? What percentage should I set aside for savings? And it's a common question. It's a great question to ask, but we need to reframe the entire thing. Again, what I just went through with these 3 steps is about mindset. And this question, I don't want to answer the question until we change our mindset. Why are we asking the question? What percentage to set aside for savings? You have to ask, what does savings mean to you? What percentage? Nobody can answer this question for you, except for you. Nobody. You could go to Warren Buffett, who is I think the most brilliant financial genius. I mean, he's rich, he's brilliant, he's got strategy. He can't answer that question for you. What percentage to set aside for savings? Only you can. So now you need to develop the mindset to figure out how to manage your money. So money. There's like so much here in my head. I've got like 20 things I could say, and they're all trying to come out at once. And I can only speak one word at a time.
Well, I have my notes. I'm ready for all of them. Whenever you give them.
All right.
Or next week.
All right. So money, we need to tell ourselves what to do. All right. If you don't plan, if you have nothing planned for your life, that's just what you're going to get. You're probably going to get negative things. For our goals, knowing what you want, you're basically telling yourself what to do in those 3 steps. You're telling yourself what to do rather than sitting down in front of the TV, letting the movies or commercials tell you what to do, or having me tell you what to do. I don't want to tell you what to do. That's not my job. I'm sharing things that have helped me, but it comes down to your own personal responsibility and telling yourself what to do, and telling yourself what to do in a strategic way. As I said, what do you want? How are you going to know when you reach it? And what habit is going to get you there? Now, money is the same thing. Money is just sitting there waiting for somebody to tell it what to do. It's sitting there waiting. And if you don't tell your money what to do, somebody else is going to tell your money what to do. That's why your money, that's why you had the credit card debt.
Yep.
You didn't tell your money what to do. Somebody else did. And that's where the money went. Then you made a change and you're like, I'm going to stop this right now. I'm going to tell my money, you're not going there anymore.
Exactly.
And you told your money what to do. You're going to keep building on that. You give your money purpose. You choose what purpose your money will have. And for example, how will you know when you reach it? If you have debt of $111.19, that's very specific. If you look and you're like, wow, that's the last debt I have for my credit card. It's a very specific number. You're not going to send your credit card company an even $110 because you'll still be in debt. You're not going to round off and send your credit card company 120. That's crazy. It's very specific. And again, that ties into how specific your goals are. You'll know when you achieve it because your balance will be 0. Now, if you're telling your money what to do and you have a plan for your money, what habit is going to get you there? The habit that's going to get you there is probably along the lines of tracking. You're going to track where all your money is running away to. Where's your money running away to? You know, if you had a cat or a dog or a sheep ranch and one of the sheep ran away, you'd be like, where's my sheep? You'd go after it. You wouldn't know how many sheep you have. You're going to keep track. You're going to write it down. And when you write it down, you're going to see a picture and you're going to be like, wow, why am I spending so much on groceries? How much food am I throwing away? You know, what habit am I going to do? Those are ideas. And we've talked about that. We talked about the war on debt refrigerator, you know, use up all your groceries before you go grocery shopping. You're not going to be throwing cash in the trash anymore. But, you know, you figure out what habit is going to help with that. And then you also are going to figure out, you can increase your hours at work. Who wants to do that? Who really wants to increase their work hours? Not too many people. You might need to gain a skill so that your hours are more efficient, especially if you're in business for yourself. You gain more skill, you can do the same job in less hours. So that's strategy. And again, I'm still going to come up to what percentage to set aside for savings, but I need the mind to shift because it's not about what am I setting aside for savings. First, we have to go through the foundation and we have to be strategic. So we're learning skills, we're learning strategy. And those skills and strategy, I just have to say, really come from learning and practice. You can get them from a book. You know, maybe somebody, I don't know, there's people that are dead that have wrote books on life skills. And if you sit down and read their book, you might get 10 years of value in a book. You're learning a new skill. You put something to practice. For me, paying for first steps to success, paying for coaching with Danny Johnson, paying for coaching with Linda and Hans has helped me improve my life because I learned from their mistakes. They were successful and they're like, hey, I've been successful and let me, you know, nail it down so you don't have to make the same mistakes I do and take 20 years to get there.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to take 20 years to get there because that's a lot of time. I can't make more than 24 hours in a day, but I can make more money. And that's what we're learning. So definitely get coaching, pay for mentorship in any area that you really need. You know, marriage strategies, a gym trainer, you know, if you want to get in shape, a dietitian, whatever. I'm all about using your money wisely because we've certainly, if I speak for myself, have used my money so foolishly.
Oh, yeah.
I've been decluttering my house and I'm like, I can't believe I spent money on stuff, many things that I didn't even use, things I got suckered into. So we're all learning. So
Me too.
what percentage to set aside for savings? I've talked about this before. First of all, there's some questions only you can answer for yourself. And one of the things that I do in private coaching or group coaching is I don't do the talking. I don't do all the talking like I'm doing now, but it's really about helping the person or the small group in front of me learn how to ask those questions, learn how to figure out the good questions to ask, and learn how to solve them for themselves. Like the saying, instead of giving a man to fish, you just fed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you fed him for a lifetime. So what I like to do is I like to throw out some fishes here, but I'm not going to feed you for a lifetime, but I'm happy to share things that will help you catch some fish with some $ signs on it. Savings accounts, I don't use them. The wealthy do not have savings accounts and they don't have emergency funds. A savings account is a poverty mindset. An emergency fund is a poverty mindset. That's what everybody tells you to do. And what is everybody doing? Well, 98% of everybody is dying or dead broke by age 65. So why do I want to listen to that? What is a savings account? Putting it aside for something. And what is your money doing? What have you told your money to do? Nothing. You've told your money to do nothing but sit there and do nothing. What's going to happen to that money? That money is waiting for instruction. And I guarantee you something's going to come up and that money is going to get transferred out of the savings account because somebody gave that money direction. Somebody told that money what to do while it's just sitting there. Always going to be an emergency. Those funds get raided and pillaged whenever we feel like, you're on a diet. If there's chocolate chip cookies in the house, how long is it going to take for those chocolate chip cookies are gone? How long? A day?
Long at all.
I mean, if you're really good, 48 hours, but so that's basically what savings account emergency funds are. It's just like the chocolate chip cookies when you're on a diet, the temptation and it's building up. There's no direction. I don't do a savings account. I don't do an emergency fund. I'll tell you what I do. Number one, I got out of debt as fast as I could. I sold heirlooms. I sold valuables. I know people that sold their homes and downsized because the debt was so crushing. I did whatever I could. My husband worked extra hours. I had side jobs. We had one car. We just had everything focused on getting out of debt because it was crushing us. I did not have a savings account or an emergency fund because what am I going to get paid in a savings account? 0.5%? What's the return on that? But what am I going to get? What's the return on paying down the credit card? If you carry a balance, that's an 18% return, 25% return right off the top. If you have a mortgage, that's a 5%, 10% return on your money. Why do I want to have a savings account that's getting no return on the money when I'm paying to credit cards and mortgage companies? The money's sitting there and the value's eroding because of inflation. So just tear up a few bills and flush it down the toilet while it's sitting in the savings account. That's what's happening. So my number one is I got out of debt as fast as possible. While I was getting out of debt, I was still giving. I was still tithing. Wasn't doing a full 10%, but I was still giving. And that is a mindset key to getting out of debt and being financially successful. You have to direct part of your money to giving. That's where the mindset, everything in your life, wherever you are today, happened because you had a thought and you took an action. Your life now is a creation of what your mind told you to do, and you did. And if you want something different, you got to change your mind for the different behaviors. So give. I don't care if it's $1 a month, $100 a month. Give something and say, hey, soon as I get my paycheck, I'm a giver. I am going to write a check or give the cash to something regularly. Okay, I like to give to King's Ransom. They help the poor, the widow, the orphan, sex trafficked children. That's where I'd love to give. And 100% of my money goes to the orphan because they have a corporate sponsor that takes care of the paperwork and, paying the administrative costs. So 100% of my money goes right to the needy. So when you give, you open up your mind to abundance. When you give, you are showing to yourself, I'm in charge of the money. I'm going to tell my money where to go. And my number one priority is I am going to give because there's a lot of people that are a lot worse off than me. I'm going to give. And that shows that you trust yourself, that you trust, God, if you are a believer, that you trust the universe, that you have trust and confidence that your needs will be met. So, number one, give, and then you decide where your money goes. But you have to know how much you need to live on. You have to track your expenses. How much do you need to live on? So you give, you figure out how much you need to live on, and then whatever is left over, I recommend that you invest. Think about an investment. Maybe you want to put it in, maybe you want to put it in a CD. Maybe you want to put it in a stock that pays dividends. But tell that money, hey, your job is to go out and make babies. Your job is to go out and make more of you. So that is where, that's where it is. First part of your money, you're going to tell, hey, you're going to go out and help someone. Another part of your money, hey, I'm going to live. And then another part of your money, tell it to go and make some babies, go reproduce. So I do not use emergency funds or savings funds. But final thing, I do want to have a caveat. I do have particular funds. It's technically a savings account at the bank, but I have property taxes every year. So I have a certain amount of my paycheck that goes into a specific account so that 12 months down the road, I'll be able to pay my property taxes. I have another, yearly, I like to pay my auto insurance yearly, my house insurance yearly. So I have little accounts that I put it there. So the money has a purpose. The money has a purpose. And if you're not sure where to invest certain money, there is, I understand we're afraid that there's a savings account, like, oh, I need an emergency fund. What if an emergency comes up? Well, here's what I did. I'm not saying this is right for everybody. When I paid off everything, and my home equity line of credit, I had $100,000 home equity line of credit after I paid off all my debts. What if I had an emergency on that day? Well, I'd use my home equity line of credit, or I'd use, you know what I mean? I'd use the credit that I had available, but I still want to pay off all the debt. And there's certainly a transition after you get out of debt. I still don't have an emergency account, and I still do not have an account that's just for savings. I could have a vacation account that, hey, we're going to go on this vacation, but everything has a name. Everything has a name. And right now, if an emergency came up, we might use credit. We might use, I have an investment account that I started, and I want to get you to the investment account where your money's making money. But there's going to be a way for that problem to be solved, but don't make a problem before it exists. So I hope that helps. I hope it wasn't too much. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming, but And you don't have to agree with me, and you don't have to do everything.
No, and this is great.
Do what's right for you. But do you have any questions, any thoughts, need clarification on anything?
I don't think so. I thank you for all of the information. I'm sorry, my family was walking through before. That's why I was like, shh. But I thank you for your time, and I like these 3 steps of knowing, the goal and tracking it. I have my notes here. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to start with? And as you were talking, it came to me where you said, if you nail one, it'll trigger success in others. And as you were speaking, I said, you know what? This may sound silly, but for me, I need to get to bed at a certain time. And I know for me, everything starts the night before. So that's the one thing. I mean, to me, God is important. That's really the first thing, but finances help everything. But if I can focus on getting to bed on time, just that, I know what's going to flow from that because I've seen it. So I just need to, like you said, enjoy the journey, enjoy the habit, and focus on that one day at a time. So that's my little, goal. I don't want to say goal, but that's my one habit I'm
Nice.
going to work on, because I know it will filter into so many other aspects that I've written down here.
Well,
So,
I love that, and that's definitely key. And I'll be honest, that's something that I'm working on. That that can be a challenge.
too.
So that is
too.
awesome. I cannot believe that this was so packed with so many great things. I think I need to go back and listen to what we
Yeah.
talked about too.
I'm going to listen again as well. And I appreciate all of the information. I was going to ask you a question. I don't know if, what your thoughts are on this. Thank God we're in a position where we could be putting money to good use. But my question is, what are your thoughts, if anything, on 529Ks? That might just be in New York, because we have a team that we want to save for. But like you said, with the economy, I thought we were at a certain number, and we were up until about a year and a half ago. And now things have changed. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts on school savings.
That again, that's like kind of like asking me what percentage to set aside for savings. Only you can answer that. And I would just do some research. The 529K can be a great idea for some people. I definitely wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Okay.
You want to have different strategies. There's always risk in everything. But again, you got to know what you want and what your financial goals are, and will the 529 meet that?
Right.
And what other options are out there to diversify and meet,
Okay.
those future goals.
Okay. I appreciate it. I'm
Phenomenal, Denise.
writing all my little notes down. You're a wealth of information, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate your time. And kudos to you for, your goal with the weight loss. You look great. I mean, you
Thank
look
you.
absolutely amazing. You look beautiful to me.
Oh.
So.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. It was
Yeah.
hard work, but it was fun. And thank
Yeah.
you for that. Everything really does start the night before.
Oh.
And that's awesome. So whoever gets the replay is just going to have rich, rich, rich items that they can put into effect. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I'll see you next time.